Welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One podcast. I'm Josh. I am joined in the studio with Savag, who is our producer slash third host extraordinaire. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm here pushing buttons and with some really lovely people.
Really, really lovely people. We also have Kathy, who is my co-host and just one of the best people in this company, if not this world. How are you, Kathy?
Great. How are you, Josh and Savag?
I'm good. I don't want to speak for Savag, but yeah, I'm good. This has been a fun, relaxing summer. I think our team's really busy with some cool projects, and we are finishing up a couple of them in the next month, so we might have a chance to breathe.
Great.
They're down in the finish line on a couple of big things, so yay.
Kathy, I have a good question for all of us to kind of kick things off, but do you want to introduce our guest before I ask that question?
Dude, I have to tell you, I've been so excited about this since we booked Michael Howell, broker owner of Realty ONE Group Restore up in Pennsylvania. And I'm honored, guys, beyond measure, because this is a champion in real estate. And I have to tell you, first time I met he and his wife Lori and their partner Lou, we asked them why they named their brokerage Realty ONE Group Restore. And I'll never forget, he said, to restore the integrity of real estate. And in the past, Michael, 6 years?
6 years, a little over.
A little over 6 years. I have witnessed him doing that, he and his team doing that. So it's our honor today to have him as our guest and to talk a little bit about his coaching program and what he's doing to expand the integrity, to restore what is everything great about servant leadership in our industry. So, Michael, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Always great to see you and to be with you and the team. Josh, great to see you. I love seeing you at all the events. Don't get to see you guys that often.
I know.
So it's always a pleasure to see what has now become part of my family.
Yeah. Likewise, Mike. It's always a pleasure to see you, to talk to you, to have you on. I know we had you on, a number of episodes ago, but, you are just one of the great voices and faces of this company, and so we really appreciate it. As I like to start these episodes with a little icebreaker just to kind of get to know each other, for our audience to kind of learn a little bit more about us before we jump into the boring old real estate stuff. And I think my question today we'll learn a little bit more about Mike, well, about all of us, but Mike in particular. So Savag, Kathy, and Mike, I want to know if your life was a movie, what genre would it fall into? Savag, you go first.
I defer to Kathy.
I'll go.
Okay,
Mike,
you go.
I'll go first because there's a story. I always tell a story with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in the day, and you go to the boardwalk and you get your name on a plaque, and they have all these meanings of your name.
Okay.
Lori and I got one years ago as a gift, and what it said on there about me was, Michael, your life is a drama without intermission. And Lori always said, wow, isn't that the truth? Because, we've been together for 35 years, and it's certainly been a drama. And Lori...
It's a good answer. Kathy, what do you got?
Mine's definitely a comedy.
Yeah,
mine's
me too.
Definitely a comedy because we have a choice. We can either see things joyfully or we can see things very negatively. And I've learned, man, choose joy every time you can.
Yep.
Amen.
I believe this with all my heart. Everything is negotiable, and there's a bright side to everything if you choose for it to be.
I agree.
Everything.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I'm comedy too. My mom said something to me recently. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but she said, you fight sadness with humor. And I really do. I mean, Savag knows that. I kind of crack jokes almost to a fault. I try to find the humor in almost everything. And so I would definitely say mine is a comedy. Savag, we're finally back to you.
Oh, great. If, for the tough guy approach, I want to say mobster movie, but that's far from it. Mine would probably be like
A kid's movie.
a kid's comedy. I don't know. Yeah.
Savag would be like a Disney classic. That's what Savag would be.
With a twist of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I need a Doc Brown in my life.
Yeah.
There you go. Sci-fi.
Well, that's great. I think those are good answers, Mike. I knew you would have a good answer. I know there's a rhyme and a reason, I feel like, for everything that you do. Like when I get to sit and have a 10-minute conversation with you at an event, I walk away a better person. And so, Kathy, I kind of want you maybe to kind of start firing some questions at Mike of just how, explain servant leadership to someone who maybe doesn't understand the phrase or what it actually is.
Mike, do you want to take that? I want to say I feel very strongly about the real estate industry that people who are successful, consistently successful, it's almost like a disease, right? It's almost like you get caught up in it. And if you're doing it for the right reason and you're working purposefully, it's addictive. In the best kind of way, because you're helping people achieve home ownership, you're helping people do a lot of different things, and for you personally it's rewarding because not only do you get to experience that, but you also have the opportunity to achieve great success through different streams of revenue and then the opportunity to give back. So it's that multi-layered opportunity of success if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
So Mike, you speak to that.
Well, you cannot give what you do not have, right? And I know in the beginning for me, especially opening up the company, one of the reasons that it was important for me to open up the company was that, it comes from you don't want things done to, if you don't want it done to you, you don't want it to have, what's the golden rule?
Right.
You want others as you want to have them do unto you.
Right.
And when you think about that, you look at Realty ONE Group in this model, right? You have the opportunity to really be as successful as you choose to be. And what I learned is that as I continue to grow myself, you become more successful and you have more opportunity, right? And then as you have more opportunity, you want that for other people. And the more you grow, the more you have opportunity. And so, when we first started the company, it was like, hey, we want to have the best real estate company out there. But then we stopped and said, I'll never forget, Lou and I were in my garage, just strategizing, putting things together. And we looked at Realty ONE Group and the model, and we've both been in this business for so long. And it was like, do you know how many people's lives we can change with this model? And then you just, you start working and you see opportunities to help other people and to help other people grow, to help other people be successful. And then you just kind of use the things that helped you to be successful and showing them to do that. And over time, you continue to do that and it just multiplies.
Mike, I love that. And when you start to talk about that, I'm hearing a lot of foundational pieces. And one thing that the three of us are super excited about is the opportunity to see you in a few weeks in Florida at Summit at our annual convention. So you're going to have the opportunity to share a message with everyone at that time. And can you tell us just a few maybe secret ingredients of what you're going to be talking about in those foundational pillars of your coaching program?
Absolutely. I would love to. So, my coach taught us along the way, the content of your life becomes the curriculum of your evolution, right? And then Maxwell has a saying, once you taste significance, success will never satisfy. And everything we know rises and falls on leadership. So about 10 years ago now, I started getting intentional about leadership. I joined the Maxwell team and there were two different lanes, right? You have business building and you have people building. Well, I already had several businesses, so I wasn't looking to open a business. I just wanted to learn how to be a better leader and grow people. And the premise of the program really comes out of several different books and curriculum, one of them being talking about the 5 levels of leadership, right? And so level 1 is position. People follow you because you have to. They have to, right? That's you're the boss. Yeah. Well, on level 2, it's permission. People follow you because they want to. That's more about relationship. And then on level 3, it's about production. People follow for what you've done, like your results, right? But where it gets sweet at, and what I've learned and what we've learned at Restore is on level 4, it's people development. And it goes to what you were saying, Kathy, right? That it's servant leadership. I said from the very beginning, when you got to put the people before the prophets, and the prophets take care of themselves. And so in the very beginning of our company, I started teaching, like not really even knowing that I was doing this, right? I had no intention to open a coaching company at the time, but as I was learning, I would teach it. As I was learning, I would teach it. And it just literally started to snowball. And within 6 months, we had 50 agents. Every Tuesday, I was doing a training on the 15 invaluable laws of growth. I started saying around the office, your business grows to the extent that you grow, and I'm living proof. Right. And then on the 5th level, it's the pinnacle level. and people follow you because of what you've done, and it's just out of respect. And it really becomes part of the culture of our company. And we've found that, it becomes a lot easier we don't even call it recruiting, but to attract, because we want to attract leadership. We want to attract leadership.
I think a good word for it is validation when you get to that level, right? Like your business, your team all speaks for itself. Like you've created a successful marketing campaign just in being a successful business, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's intentional, right? So we talk about the 4 pillars of your business, which is customer service, sales and marketing, financial management. And then I added personal growth, because I can tell you, 6 years ago when I opened this company, I wasn't capable of running 5 offices and 15 agents. But because I continued to grow myself and recognize my blind spots and got better in communication and emotional intelligence, as I focused on those things for myself, things became better for those around me. And then I worked myself out of positions.
Yeah.
And when you work yourself out of positions, you're growing an opportunity for someone else. So that's kind of the main framework of the leveling up your leadership that I'll be talking about at the summit.
Sorry, Kathy, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you bring up a good point I know we keep harping on this idea of servant leadership. There's also something that I'd love for you to touch upon, because you clearly have it I don't know if this is trained or you were naturally born this way, but you clearly have a philosophy and mentality in your head of what you said. When you put the people first, the profits will come after that. But not everyone thinks that way. That's a very selfless way of looking at business, at life, and that's something that you have mastered. And so is that something that you've learned over time? Were you looking out for number one up until a certain point, and then you realized that this is not for the greater good?
That's a really good question, and I've asked myself that, right? I can remember back as far as a little boy and thinking, when I got something good, that I've always wanted to share with other people. So I think it was kind of natural.
Yeah.
But then life happens, right? And then,
Sure.
You start going after Uno, right? And you start striving. I started striving for success and thinking that you find success in more. Well, more of what? More stuff, more. And you can only have so much stuff. But when you start seeing how, I call it transforming, as I transform, you start seeing that you can have impact in other people's lives and make a difference in other people's lives as a result of the way you live your life.
Totally.
Then it becomes really, really kind of fun.
Go ahead, Kathy.
There's so much responsibility that comes with that. And that's one thing I just commend you and Lou for. Because you both, the audio matches the video with both you and your partner and Lori. And one thing that I think, and Savag, I want you and Josh to comment on this. I feel like right now our industry is overwhelmed with celebrity and influencers. Mm-hmm. And what the industry is starved for is authentic.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Who is authentic and who is living it. And that's one reason I'm so excited, Michael, to have you speaking and to have you with us, because I'm over the celebrity. I'm over the how many followers you got. I want to know how much difference you're making. And that's not necessarily in celebrity.
I don't want to go down this road because I feel like we've talked about it in the last 5 episodes. To touch on Kathy's point of authenticity, we are also in the AI world now, and you can pick apart when someone is not being themselves, when it didn't come from them, when it wasn't genuine, when it wasn't authentic because it was filtered through some sort of AI or some sort of, editing tool that they didn't actually put their whole heart into. And so to your point, Kathy, like Mike is a breath of fresh air in this industry because of his authenticity.
Savag.
With the authenticity thing, it's important because the audience is getting more savvy at recognizing the more exposed they are and the more they get, comfortable with it, the more they recognize by their natural being how to call out the BS, how to see if something's not genuine, not authentic. And we are living in this world, and I was just reading an article this morning, Kathy, when you brought up the influencer thing. There are people who create content. There are people who say they are coaches. There are people who say they are experts. You look on your LinkedIn and everybody's an expert at anything, but they're chasing the clout. They're chasing the influence. They're chasing the clicks instead of chasing the substance, the authenticity, being a trustable source and growing as that trustable source. If you look at, and this is going to lead to my question for Michael, is if you look at how things have progressed generationally, folks have developed content and have explained it, taught it in a way to grow people. Elevating yourself while elevating others is a mantra that is around the world and leadership. So when I'm looking at the current couple of more generations that are online, there are some that are, they're useful, they're out there, but there are some there who just want the clicks, who just want the followers. My message to them is, what is your purpose and how are you leading your industry and your world with whatever purpose you have? And that goes to my question to you, Michael. When you look at, I look at our current audience and our current base, especially in real estate, as we probably have the most amount of generations than we have ever had in the space, where there's a lot of crossing of different generations. How are you helping or recognizing and to help prepare the next generation where they can pick it up where you left off? Or how are you helping prepare the next generation to say, this is what I built, this is what's working, this is what we need to carry forward?
And it's not trendy. Like,
Right.
This is something that, like, Michael's, like, the way he operates his business is something that would have worked 30 years ago and will work 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something that we really need. Like, to Kathy's point, like, there are some celebrities or some online names and faces that are going to get their 15 seconds of fame, and they may have a really, really, really good year next year. But is that sustainable? I think you've built something that is sustainable for generations. And I didn't mean to like hijack your question, but that's so. Anyways, Mike, if you want to like speak to how do you work with the generations that are slowly coming into this industry, the ones that are slowly moving out of this industry, because I feel like you're kind of like right there in the middle.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. Authenticity and transparency are very important to me. They've always been very important to me. I've felt over my career that leaders that I was a part of were not, right? So, sometimes out of hurt comes purpose, right? And that's one of the things I say, hey, when we open up our own company, certain things are just not going to be okay here. And these values are not compromised here. And I'll tell you, when you start getting intentional about your growth, you start to realize that there's stuff in you still that, man, I wasn't aware of that. And so then you have to really sit down and be honest with yourself and look at the person in the mirror and say, I want to hold everybody to a very high standard. Are you living that standard? So the main answer to that question is I try to lead by example every day, one day at a time. I don't by no means am I feeling like I've arrived or anything like that. It's still very hard every day, but leading by example. And then, that's just one of the practical ways. But, I also started my own coaching company, Kingdom Coaching, several years ago that promotes personal growth, leadership development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and business building. So right now I'm taking probably about 20 people through a year-long mastermind called the Business Accelerator Leadership Academy. And we as the owners of the company, have all of our staff in there. It's required twice a month for 1 hour, where it's more like a mastermind. And they have to, if you're a part of our company, if you're in leadership or if you're staff, growth is a requirement. Because as we continue to grow, I believe, and we believe that there's always going to be more opportunity. We've built something that we're very proud of. And in fact, I think people now are really starting to see it, and the market is really helping us as well, because people want to be a part of what we're doing. And oh, by the way, you get paid a lot more money here too.
That helps.
Little cherry on top.
Right?
Before we finish that, I think there's something, he's so modest. I want to make sure we're covering, because it speaks to Savag's point. His team are his sons. So when Michael speaks about living that example, he's doing it externally in his coaching, he's doing it internally in his company, and most importantly, he's passing the torch, Savag, to the next generation of realtors, being his sons. So I think that's a really
reminding me of that one, Kathy.
Yeah, that's a really important part that, that to me is just further testimony that he's living what he's saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's such a blessing. It really is. That was a part of me being able to, going from doing 100 transactions a year as a team to being able to transition that to Michael and Marcus has been something I'm really proud of as well. And those guys are now multiplying. So the whole the whole leadership development program, Kathy, back to your original question, really about what it is people development and putting in the processes and the procedures and the systems now that we have the company that can give people the opportunity to come to the table, come to the well and drink so that they can continue to grow and become all that they are called to be in their personal life and in their business.
Can I just ask a question?
Go for it.
I've been dying, Michael, to ask you this question. How do you stay so calm and structured?
That's not easy. You think I'm calm and structured? Lori probably wouldn't agree with that. Sometimes you would say I am. But I do have a daily practice. And it's a quiet time. Every morning, I try to start the day brand new. You know, if it's something that we have to celebrate, you celebrate for 24 hours, right? And then you got to get back at it. It was great, but you got to keep on going. And the same thing if it's a failure or something wrong, right? You can't live in that. So I start my day every day trying to be in alignment. I'm a person of faith, so I have a good hour quiet time with my God every morning and try to get my instructions for the day and just live by the two key principles, love God and love people.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think we should just end it there. That's a mic
Yeah.
drop. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm going to walk away just from this conversation a better person. You are such an example of a great leader at this company, and we cannot thank you enough. I'm excited to see you in person in Florida in a couple months. Kathy, you got anything else?
No, thank you, Michael. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah,
Yes.
always. Thank you guys for having me. Really good to see everybody. I always have an awesome time when I see you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys in a few months in Miami.
Cool. We
Love
appreciate it.
It's going to be awesome.
Adios.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.